Welcome to episode 7 of Dad by Daylight, Dadvice. In this episode, I will go over the best general advice I have so far about being a dad. Episode Joe is pretty verbose in this one, so I can't really just sit around explaining too much. There was some pretty good advice amidst all the yapping, so I think it's worth it to stick around. You get to see some pretty good gameplay as Killer on Chaos Mode, which is pretty nice too. Probably my favorite game mode that the game has. Overall, I think it's a pretty good episode. Would maybe have liked to have taken the beginning of the episode a little slower, but I think it works pretty well in the end. You get the point. Anyway, I know that you're trying your best, episode Joe, so keep at it. Take it away. Thanks, intro me. I don't know if I'm being too verbose, but this is another long video, so maybe you're onto something, so let's get right into it. The best advice I can give from what I learned on in the early days, especially if you're co-raising your child, is do everything you can to support one another. For instance, for breastfeeding, I don't actually do that much. I would always just sort of be there, but I would especially be there at night. I would set up the breastfeeding chair with snacks and ice water. Now, ice water is something that I made sure was always available for Madeline because she would often run quite hot during the breastfeeding time, and it was always nice and quite frankly necessary to have ice water around. And then I would bring her James when she was ready. I did this every single night consistently until Madeline had a set routine, and she just let me know that it would be much more useful if I just slept through these nighttime breastfeedings and I was available to just run the morning routine so Madeline could get a couple more hours of sleep. And we transitioned to that pretty quickly, and that was great. Now, doing all the stuff as like a little family, just me, Madeline, and James, right in the beginning was very useful and very important for us. It let us get a really quick routine and feel like we were really established, and then we could happily let over friends and family to visit new baby James. Now, outside of this initial first-hand learning, one of the best things I did was talk to my family, friends, and coworkers about parenting. I would approach parents that I knew that had a good relationship with their kids, and I asked them, hey, do you mind if I grill you and ask you about parenting? Everyone really enjoyed telling their stories, and I feel like I learned a lot. A fun thing that we did about a month before James was born is that my boss brought in a bunch of bagels and told everyone that if they wanted a bagel, they had to give me a piece of advice, either as a parent or a child. This ranged from just be a good dad to giving really, really in-depth and specific advice. So I've collected kind of the most peaceful parts of this advice, and that helped me a lot, and I hope that'll help you. Two of the pieces of advice that I found to be the most useful were also sort of the most scary. The first was that for the first 9-ish month, you as the father will get virtually no positive reactions from the baby. They just want mom. Well, really, they just want to eat and sleep. So when they see you, they are not super excited. In fact, they will often be pissed when it's just you and not mom. And also during that time, mom's going to be quite drained, and so you can sort of expect to have a often unthanked supporting role, and that's kind of your duty. Now, after the first 9-ish months, the kid will start having their own personality, will start to show, and they'll begin to recognize you, and they'll begin to respond to you similar to how they respond to mom, maybe not quite as strong. But just know that all this is fine, all this is normal. All dads go through this. Don't get annoyed with the kid, don't be jealous of the mom. You'll have your own unique and positive and special relationship as they get older, so really look forward to that and get through these hard early months. Now, this really helped me during the rougher times in the beginning, when I was super tired and I was holding an angry, crying baby while Madeline just got a couple more hours of sleep. I would literally think back to this piece of advice and tell myself, all dads go through this. It's okay, it's normal. This really helped me feel a sense of community with other parents and lifted me up during the hard times. The second piece of advice that was scary was that you will spend a surprising amount of time having intrusive thoughts. That's fine. Just recognize that you have the thought, you see what it is for what it is, and you just let it pass through you. Another useful bit of advice was to ask for help when I wanted it, not just when I needed it. Facing any situation, which can be from James having a tough day to just the dishes piling up, can cause an additional stress that will be felt by everyone. I found it very useful to recognize when I'm starting to feel overwhelmed and to check in with Madeline as soon as those feelings start to build up. Doing this before it was an absolute necessity gives her time to let me know when she can, if she can help right now or when she can, and lets me tell her, okay, this is coming to a head. I'm going to absolutely need help right now if it's coming to that. Now this goes both ways. It's great when it goes both ways. It prevents us from really feeling resentful because we know we're looking out for each other, and it helps us both feel supported. Very useful and often overlooked, I think. Now, some of this final advice, I'm happy that was told to me, but it explicitly centers around the trauma that affects some of my friends to this day. Knowing some of this will hopefully help prevent me from making the same mistakes and repeating the cycle of other tough childhoods that friends have had. First, angrily yelling near the child, not necessarily at the child, can be just as scary. Kids don't really understand the whys of anger, just the feelings that they can get from it, and any outbursts, again, not necessarily just directed at the child, but just directed out into the world of frustration, can be scary and leave scars. So really try to minimize that around the kids. Second, as your kid gets older and develops their own interests and hobbies, make sure you stay invested with the kids. Just because they're becoming their own person does not mean that they don't need you or completely uninterested in you any longer. Stay interested and stay engaged in their lives as much as you can for as long as you can. They will notice when you kind of just drop them, so just don't. Finally, get to know your kids' friends and their parents. If you get an off feeling about anyone, something just doesn't feel right, don't just let the feeling drop because of politeness or social pressure or whatever. Investigate it. Let the kids be kids, let them play, and again, stay engaged and check in to make sure that your kid's staying safe. And just, if you have a feeling, make sure you fully investigate why you're feeling that way and don't just drop it because of politeness. And finally, something a little lighter. Let's just get stuff that we found to be useful out of the way. There's all kinds of doodads and trinkets that you can get, but here are a few things that were definitely the best for us. A diaper genie, which is essentially a 2-tiered trash can with a refillable trash bags, is amazing. It holds a bunch of diapers and prevents the room from smelling like poop. Get the biggest one you can. You will eventually need it. I have a quick little digression on poop here. I have a very sensitive sense of smell, and poop used to make me feel extremely nauseous, and so I was really afraid of this aspect of having a kid. And much to my surprise, during the breastfeeding times, the first, 9 to 12 months, before solid foods, essentially, the smell is unlike anything you've smelled before, and so it doesn't even register as poop in your mind. I know it's a lot of poop discussion, but it is what it is. So, when you're having to deal with it, changing diapers, you don't even recognize this as like a nauseating thing. You're just like, this is so foreign to me. It's whatever. It's cleaning dirt. It's meaningless. So, the smell and whatever slowly changed over time and became more recognizable as normal poop. But this has really inoculated me to the point where it doesn't bother me at all. It's all fine. And I've really gotten past a lot of that, aversion to being like scared of poop, essentially. So that's nice. Some more stuff. A changing table dresser combo is really nice. Get a changing table that's at a height where you feel comfortable and can do changing, practice with a little fake baby. And having dresser drawers for diaper storage and changes of clothes right there is super useful. Setting up your changing table area with all the stuff you need that's easily within reach and you can just grab it is super, super nice. We have a little hands-free hand sanitizer that dispenses baby-safe sanitizing foam. That has been a lifesaver many, many times. Finally, a swivel car seat that can face you as you put the kid into the back seat will save your back as the kid gets older. Trust me. And like I said, all this stuff, other stuff is nice, and you can get all these huge big-ticket items, but these were the main items that we found to be useful kind of, almost every day and really, really help save us. And that's sort of a quick rundown of the best advice we got from the early days of parenting. I hope one piece of advice will help you when you're thinking about becoming a parent. Next week, we'll talk about surviving the early days of parenting and the trials and tribulations that entails. So remember to be kind and take care of one another, and I'll be seeing you next episode. Bye bye.